Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the most underrated and overrated brawlers within the meta right now. I know I said I was doing a tier list today, but it takes a lot of preparation, probably a few days honestly to do a tier list, and there are monthly qualifiers going on right now, so including a lot of this data through tournaments as well, I'll be preparing a tier list which will definitely be coming out on Mondays, so just give myself a few more days to prepare for it. So before we jump into it, make sure you're using a credit code, that'd be greatly appreciated. Without further ado, let's hop into it. Alright guys, so jumping into the first, probably the most underrated brawler in the meta right now, it is El Primo. So of course, whenever tanks get a little bit better in the meta, El Primo just naturally gets a little bit stronger, just because he's probably the best tank counter out there, whilst also being a tank himself, so he's going to get a lot of value out of countering tanks. His super is one of the best in the game, but also a lot of people might have actually forgot about one of the buffs he got, I think it was about 3 or 4 months ago now, so it didn't seem like the biggest change straight away, but I think it's definitely a big one. So he got a big buff, well not big buff, a little buff to his super damage, which in turn has actually helped him out quite a fair bit. So unfortunately I haven't got any tanks to counter right here, so I just need to wait for one super, and then it's all about cycling it. So I'm just going to use it on the spike. I know I'm going to get the kill right there. Hopefully I can heal up in time without this dynamite just constantly shooting at me. But yeah, as I was saying, like, Primo's seen a massive rise in his pick rate, especially in competitive. I've seen him a lot in scrims right now, but mainly it's when like, you can't obviously just go straight up Primo because people can just go a couple of hard counters. He is that brawler that you need to counter a certain brawler with. So for example, I see a lot of the times El Primo being drafted against like Rosa on sneaky fields, or against an Ashe. Like, a lot of people can somewhat early pick an Ashe nowadays, but El Primo is such a great counter to Ashe, where it doesn't even matter if the other two brawlers just hard counter him, he's going to get such good value because you just literally need a super, and any brawler that gives El Primo free super is really dangerous. So again, I'm just going to jump in onto these guys. I'm going to get a lot of value right here, and whilst most of the game I've been pretty terrible, I just did so much damage right there. So one super when you use El Fuego, pretty much every pro uses El Fuego, you will be dealing like 2.6k I think, which is quite a lot, you know, especially to squishy brawlers. That's going to be a lot of damage. So we're going to be jumping on in here as well with the crow, and we should be able to cycle our super again. I don't even need a super again actually. The spike should slowly go down to poison, and that's going to be a goal. So El Primo being used a lot in Brawl on ladder. I've seen so much El Primo, but not only that, he's used a lot in heist, and often, well not often, sometimes in gem grab when someone does early pick tanky brawlers. So I kind of want to jump in on the spike here. Just me landing on him will kill him, but unfortunately I don't get to land on him. Oh, so close to cycling of super there. That probably would have been a goal, and especially in Brawl, literally one good super, one good jump, especially on a map. I'm trying to think of a map in particular, like when they've kind of got some walls here, even like backyard, it's backyard bowl, but you know, they've got some walls right here. You can literally use a super where you can kick it forward, use a super, and there's just no way the enemy team are going to stop it. So I just haven't got enough HP to kind of walk this one in. I'm one shot away from super though, so if they can give me this super, maybe I can make a jump in play right here. I do land on the spike, but that should be enough damage to take him down eventually. That's going to be El Primo. He's pretty much the most underrated brawler in the meta right now. Let's hop into the next one. Alright guys, so jumping into the next underrated brawler in the meta, we have Sandy. So Sandy, for the longest time, hasn't been anywhere close to the meta because they pretty much killed Sandy with some huge nerfs to the supercharge rate and also his damage. And now I think Sandy is definitely underrated. Seen him picked a lot in gem grab and in Brawl in scrims right now. Even in some circumstances where you feel like Sandy might not be the best, I just think in a 1v1, Sandy is actually pretty strong. So yeah, Sandy definitely making more so of a comeback, but it's not to the point where Sandy's toxic like before in previous metas, where I think Sandy used to take like 5 shots to get super. Like, that was way too toxic. The super was way too polarizing. Now he's just really good in 1v1s, and then eventually might get the super, but you have to obviously be a lot more careful and make sure you're getting a lot more value out of his super. And you know, the key to being good with Sandy is, once you get that first super, is making sure you at least get a couple more hits, because it could be a very long time until you get the next one. But as I was saying, the 1v1s are definitely really clutch. He's got one of the best gadgets in the game, because I know it's only just a stun mechanic, but it's just so easy to hit the stun with Sandy. So that's going to be another underrated brawler. Sandy definitely making a huge return to the meta. Let's hop into the next one. So jumping into the final underrated brawler within the meta right now, we have Byron. So Byron, again, another brawler that received a buff, and I actually think it helped him quite a fair bit. So by no means he's going back to his old state where he used to be that brawler that could literally be used in every single composition and be pretty strong. Sometimes he's still a little bit too vulnerable because of how squishy he is, but overall I think he's definitely making a much bigger impact in the meta, especially on more passive game modes and maps. I've seen in a few scrims Byron being used in game modes like Bounty, for example, so you can definitely use him in some instances, but then again, you can't just literally use him everywhere like before. You could pretty much use him as a mid everywhere. He's also a really decent counter to a lot of the other mid brawlers, you know, like B, for example. You know, B is everywhere in the meta. In a 1v1, Byron should destroy a B just because of the projectile speed and how much easier it is to hit a shot. But yeah, Byron is getting a lot more synergy right now, and good Byron players can definitely make it work. So yeah, just gotta bear that in mind. That was a pretty bad fail right there. And also, I just love the fact that, again, tank meta should actually help him out a little bit more because he will cycle super a lot more, and he will also just give a lot more healing to his teammates. So right here, I can just heal Rolo up quite a fair amount, and I'm already back to my full ammo. I mean, Rolo don't even... Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I played Byron. I'm gonna have to leave that. Terrible. Every time I went to heal him, it just went to move. That is... Okay, that's one thing that I don't like people doing when I'm playing Byron, is standing still. It throws me off, okay? I'm that bad. I miss people literally standing still. So should be able to get our super again here. I mean, I'm finally hitting some people. Should be able to get a good super onto the Gale. I don't care about Rolo dying here. He dodged my heals, okay? I don't care if he's got to sacrifice himself. Get some good taps onto the Gale. Unfortunately, don't get the kills. So again, if you're thinking of better game modes for him, I think Hot Zone could potentially be really underrated for Byron. Bounty is the game mode I've been seeing him the most on. Of course, you got to avoid maps with the unbreakable walls. I feel like those type of maps really don't help him, because normally you face like a thrower, and throwers just destroy Byron. There's no way to really defend yourself against enemy throwers. So yeah, maps like Canal Grande, you want to stay away from as much as possible. So going to get a double splash right there. That's really going to hurt them with that melees. And then I'll just consistently try and heal up Rolo so he can push in, but he doesn't even really need the healings because that is going to be the win regardless, even if we mess up this goal. So that is going to be another underrated brawler. Let me know who you think is really underrated in the meta. So let's move on to the overrated. Alright guys, jumping into the first overrated brawler in the meta right now, we have Gray. So again, by no means I'm saying that Gray is trash and unusable. I just think the nerf actually did a lot more than I really anticipated. The play rates in Gray have definitely gone down a fair bit. He's still pretty good in game modes like Knockout, where just one super can literally confirm you the kill every single time. But I feel like he's lost a lot of his firepower. Like a lot of the times, you always, even if you didn't like implement it, like for example, say if you had like a Tara on your team that was close to super or even had super, like people just be scared of Gray every single time. Now it doesn't really have the biggest of fear factors. The only time you have to fear Gray with super is if you're below like 3.6k HP. You know, if he's going to come in and 2-tap you pretty easily, it's the only time you really need to fear a Gray. But he's still an okay brawler. I just think he's overrated and definitely not a top 10 brawler right now. His play rates in competitive are just terrible. I've literally not really seen Gray anywhere again except for like Knockout. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm missing it a little bit, but yeah, he's only really used there. You know, there's a lot of grassy maps in the meta right now. There's a lot of tanks, so of course he's not really going to be the best because he doesn't have the biggest amount of DPS. So I'm just going to teleport away from the mortars here. Should be able to get the shot. It actually feels a lot easier to hit my shots with his skin. I don't know, it's a bit counterintuitive in a way. Like, it's easier to hit shots, but isn't it just easier to dodge as well because the bullets are a lot more easy to read? I don't know, let me know. Maybe that's a secret nerf to Gray as well, that his shots are a lot more easy to read. So we should be able to kill this Buzz right here. Sam, we just don't have the ammo or the DPS to take it down. So that's what I'm talking about, you know, especially on ladder as well. I literally face double tanks pretty much all of the time, and you know, Gray, it's just impossible to kill him. So for sure he's a little bit overrated in the meta. After especially a lot of people were saying straight away, you know, Gray, how come he's not on your ranking? How come he's not making any appearance in the meta? So that's probably the big reason why he's not for me. So we've got a little bit of time left to try and claw this one back. Of course, we don't have to win every single game when we do a little bit of live com. And I thought I'll switch it up a little bit because, you know, right now I'm just doing a lot of pre-recorded videos. Every now and again, people love to see me do some live commentary videos. So we've got 15 seconds left to score. Chester's still alive. Hopefully he's got the super that can break open a wall. Maybe I can make a play right here. Unfortunately, Morty steals the ball. And again, there's just 0 DPS. I just don't have the damage to deal with any of these guys. So Great, he's going to be the first overrated brawler. Let's hop into the next one. Alright guys, so jumping into the next overrated brawler in the meta. You probably guessed it, obviously, by the title. But Chester, for me, has to be very overrated. People still consider him to be somewhat of a decent brawler. I'm just going to go ahead and say it right now. Chester is horrid. He's so bad. I just don't like Chester whatsoever. His supers used to feel a lot more threatening when he was first implemented into the game. And I just feel like his supers just aren't too great. Like, the stun can be pretty okay, but then you realize that his damage is a lot less since his nerf. And then you've got the super that can break up in walls that can be sometimes okay. But then you got this super, this is what I'm talking about. Literally terrible. In some situations, this stun can be... Oh, okay. I didn't really want Roller to pass me the ball there. I'll just waste my super anyways. But by the time as well that you've got your super, it takes a long time to get it right. And by the time you've got it, it's not even going to have the biggest of impacts. So, yeah, Chester really not doing the best right now. Also, as well, a few people in the community were saying on Twitter, I think Roller was one of them, that Chester is pretty painful to play right now, especially trying to get wins with him, trying to get kills with him. It's pretty difficult. Obviously, it's a little bit simple as how to play him. You know, once you get to that second ammo or third ammo, you want to start going really aggressive. But still, I feel, anyways, when I play Chester, that I just still lack the DPS to actually kill a lot of these brawlers. And I'm trying to, you know, stun this surge, and that super is just pretty terrible. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to finish that one off. Even like the spray, it deals a lot of damage over time, and then you've got to get within distance of them, and then even if you do spray them, they're probably just going to run into you and just take you down so quickly anyways. Like, by no means he's unusable. Like, the good thing about this meta, I think pretty much every brawler except for Edgar is pretty usable, but for me, he's definitely overrated. People still seem to pick him quite a fair bit when I'm playing ladders, so that it's going to be Chester. Let's hop into the final one. Alright guys, so jumping into the final overrated brawler within the meta right now, it is Griff. So again, Griff in the last meta, I believe I might have put him in the overrated list, and again I'm going to put him there because people still in the comment section, I think I was seeing this the most when I did my top 10 video, and also some other videos, are saying that Griff, how is he not in the top 10? Griff is just not really used in competitive too much anymore. Like, again, he's still a pretty solid brawler. Probably would have put him in between like the middle of the meta, just because, again, like the unbreakable walls did actually hurt him quite a fair bit. But for me, again, you think of Griff, you think that he should be like a tank counter, but a lot of times tanks can deal with Griff pretty easily, especially since they actually nerfed his supercharge rate. It did a lot more damage than I thought it really would. Like, normally before the nerf, right, you probably know what I'm talking about with Griff. You could literally just walk up to any brawler, especially a tanky brawler, and just spam the super button. You could literally super 2 or 3 times on top of like a Frank, for example, and now you just can't really do that. It feels a little bit weak in terms of his supercharge rates. So yeah, unbreakable walls as well pretty much killed him on some maps. Some maps he's going to be pretty decent on, you know, still in some areas pin or punt you can get some nice wall breaks, but then on some completely useless. So for me, he's definitely took a big hit in the meta and pretty overrated in general by people in the comment section. So that is going to be it for today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know who you think is underrated and overrated in the meta. I actually struggled to think of any overrated brawlers because, of course, it's just my opinion. Like, these brawlers are still decent, like Griff and Gray, but have to be overrated in the terms like they're not really used too often in competitive. So that's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.